The geladas always feed as a group. In the drier part of the year, they dig for roots and eat herbs. It does look a little bit dry at the moment, but the dry season is coming to an end. Suddenly, one day, they come blowing in. Life in the form of clouds. If they fail to come, it will be a disaster for many. The rainy season varies tremendously in different parts of the country. Some areas in the west have 8 months of rain a year. In the east, you might just have a couple of days of rainfall. The clouds roll in. Like a blanket, they cover the mountains, and the whole landscape changes as the tropical storms build. Just some weeks after the rains have started, the highlands turn green. It looks like spring has arrived. But in the east, there is still no rain. In the Danakil Desert, it hardly ever rains. This is not just another dry desert. This is where 3 continental plates of Earth's crust meet. It is known to geologists as the Afar Triple Junction. The continental breakup produces a valley caused by the sinking of the ground when the Earth pulls apart. The ground is more than 100 meters below sea level. The movement also creates cracks, faults, hot springs and volcanoes in the region. The sulfur and potassium salts spraying up in the hot springs create this multicolored landscape. Together with the acid lime green ponds, it looks like a different planet. The active springs are usually white-yellow, while older springs turn rust-colored from oxidation. The rock on top of the hot springs is filled with holes, like a sponge, which makes it a dangerous place to travel. When a pond dries up, it leaves beautiful shapes of salt and minerals. There are even lakes formed from the springs with decorative salt deposits along the edges. With the geyser and yellow upwelling, the lake almost looks like a cauldron filled with a bubbling witch's brew. But this is not the only storybook location around here. Just 150 kilometers away, there is a black mountain standing some 600 meters above the desert floor. You might expect Bilbo Baggins to come climbing the mountain at any second. The name Erta Ale translates into the mountain that smokes. As the sun sets, it is clear where the name comes from. This is one of the most active volcanoes with the longest existing lava lake in the world. The surface can reach temperatures of 1000 degrees Celsius when the lava explodes. The lake goes through cycles. The surface can smolder for hours before the next burst of activity. The last major eruption was in 2005 when thousands of people were evacuated. No one knows when the next eruption is coming. The water from the Highland rain is approaching the Danakil. Billions of gallons of water rush down to the desert. Here, below sea level, it will vanish into thin air, leaving a sea of salt. With constant winds reaching temperatures of 50 degrees Celsius, one might not expect to find people here. But this is where the Afars work. In blazing sun, they break up the salt from the ground. It is cut up and shaped into blocks that can be sold in the highlands. The blocks are loaded on camels and transported 150 kilometers up the 2,000-meter mountains to the salt market. The Danakil has been Afar land for thousands of years. They are nomadic people with an amazing aptitude for heat and drought. Their huts are dome-shaped, made from thin branches covered with animal hide or palm mats. The settlements are enclosed with acacia thorns to keep predators out. The huts can be packed up and moved in less than a day. Since the ground gets boiling hot from the sun, they have beds raised from the ground to keep cool at night. The women spend the hot hours of the day in the hut, preparing meals and looking after the small children. This is often the only place to find relief from the scorching sun. The women are in charge of the family, since the men are away for long periods of time looking after livestock. The camels represent freedom to the Afars and are never ridden, but rather used as pack animals. They are crucial for survival in this harsh terrain to carry huts, firewood, or anything else that is needed. One camel can be worth 50 to 60 goats. A large camel herd will provide great wealth and esteem. Afars are commonly known as violent people. Every boy gets armed at an early age and is raised to handle weapons. They are known as the warrior people, but behind that image, most Afars are actually quite peaceful people, living from their livestock.